for LaCroix. I already opened it so you don't get the crisp can opening. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing our June reading wrap-up. I read 6 books this month, so we're going to go through these, we're going to rank them together, and then we're going to talk about what I'm reading in July. Before we get into that though, I want to just shout out again, I just opened an Etsy shop. It's Backyard Bear Shop on Etsy. The Instagram is Backyard Bear Creations. So I would really appreciate if anyone is willing to go follow either of those accounts or like any of the items in the listings. Would really help me out. So thank you for that, and let's get started. So I'm gonna be completely honest, there were a lot of duds this month. Last month in May, I read so many good books, it was hard to rank them all to decide which of the books that I liked belonged at the bottom. It was the opposite. It was which one did I dislike the least, basically. So we're just gonna go through them together. We'll talk about them a little bit. I'll try not to be too mean though, because I can be very mean sometimes. This is my channel and I get to talk about whatever I want, so I get to be mean if I want to. At number 6, the very bottom of the list is The Honey Witch by Sydney Shields, unfortunately. I DNF'd this book. I almost never DNF a book, so it just really wasn't for me, which is sad because I won it in a giveaway. I was really excited to read it and I just couldn't even get through it. So the main premise, it's a cozy cottagecore lesbian romantasy. Main character is a witch who's cursed to never find love, and of course she does with a woman. I hated her writing style. This is pretty much the only author I would ever tell the cliche advice, show not tell. I'm a writer. I know how just horrible that advice is because you can't show the entire book, otherwise it would be 800 pages. I felt like she was treating me like I was stupid. Like I wasn't given any suggestions of things that were happening. Like if there was a character that was sick and about to die, it wasn't like his skin was pale and he was coughing horribly and, you know, like his symptoms, not giving us any symptoms. Instead it was just the main character going, oh, he's gonna die. Sad. And then they moved on. Like, it was just weird. So I couldn't get through it because I think I made it about a third in. Yeah, I was really disappointed. So that's at the bottom of the list just naturally because I couldn't finish it. At number 5, another one I was really excited about is Freshwater by Akwaeke and Emezi. I didn't end up writing this book. It's literary fiction. It basically follows around a character named Ada as she grows up and goes through college and experiences traumatic events that basically lead to her developing multiplicity or different personalities, and it's all about those personalities vying for control. So what I'll say about this book is stylistically it was very, very good. Their writing style is very unique and I think I will read something from them in the future. I think I just didn't like it. Like there's nothing I can really point to that I disliked about it. I just didn't, which is fine. You know, like sometimes that happens. The only thing that I can think of is if I remember right, it's autofiction, which is when it's a work of fiction, but it's heavily influenced by your own life. So it's not a memoir, it's not fiction, it's somewhere in the middle. And I don't like memoirs and I don't like autofiction. So I think that just is what it was. It felt too real to me, and I felt like I was intruding upon this person's life that I don't know anything about. So I felt like I couldn't really make, I just didn't I just don't like that. I prefer when I'm reading creative nonfiction to read essays. That's really all I can say about that book. I didn't rate it. I think it's worth reading. If it's on your list, if that's an author you want to check out, it's worth reading, but it just wasn't for me. So number 4 on this list is This Book is Gay by Juno Dawson. This book is described as your coming out handbook. It's basically like the manual we all wish that we had been handed when we first thought we might be queer, when we were first coming out. I could not stop thinking about this book to the point that I made a whole other video talking about it. It's from last week, go check it out. What's the Deal with Banned Books, I think is what the clickbaity title I decided on was. I had a lot of problems with this book. I didn't like the language, I didn't like the way that it kind of just ignored lesbians. I didn't like how outdated some of the information was. But at the same time, like, I was like, I feel weird criticizing a banned book, because then does that give, like, credence to the people who are banning this book when I don't think it should be banned just because I didn't like it? And then that had me thinking about, like, just banned books in general, because I know a lot about banned books. I'm in the field. Like, I deal with it. And I think that people think it's a lot more serious of an issue, or widespread of an issue, that it is. In 2022, 11 people were responsible for 60% of book bannings. They're pressure groups. They don't speak for the majority of us. We can tackle that. We can handle that. That's a very manageable situation, as long as we, stay aware and we work on it. And it also had me thinking about just kind of, because I mean, most of the book bans, as we typically think about them, I think they're happening on more of the political right. But people on the political left, the radical left, do this too. I mean, people will bully you on social media if you don't like a book, to the point that I think self-censorship can happen, there's a whole issue to talk about that. So it had me thinking about that, and this professor who was talking about the banned books, and he didn't have a lot of the data that I have now that shows if you want to support libraries and push back against book bannings, then you have to target those organized groups. You can't just stand up in your community. You have to go after specific groups, because it's small groups of people. It's not the general population. But I remember him saying something like, if you're gonna ban a book for sexuality, then just ban Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. And I didn't really have the words for how I felt about that, but I was like, okay, we can't say don't ban this instead. That's not how we handle this problem. Anyway, I talk about all of that really in depth, about policing works, especially works by problematic authors and queer and POC authors all across the spectrum in that video. So, and there's also a longer review of this book kind of in the middle. So if that's something that interests you, please go check it out. It's doing really well. I'm really proud of it. It was a labor of love. It probably is the most serious editing I've had to undertake in quite a while. I rated this 3 stars. My recommendation, if you want to read this book, by all means read it, but I don't take it as like, this is the book about gay stuff. I would also recommend checking out a later edition, because the one I read was published in 2015, so I don't know exactly what issues have been resolved since then, but I'm assuming some of them have been, and the language might have been updated. So I recommend checking out the 2020 edition. I feel like there was another one that came out more recently than that. But so this book, which I'll put a photo on just to make sure you can see it, Quick and Easy Guide to Queer and Trans Identities. I liked this one better. It's not like the word when it comes to the gay community, but I felt like as kind of that type of book, as an introduction, it's a little bit better. I liked it much more. It's a comic, it's great, it's easy to get through. You can pretty much sit down and get through in one sitting. I would really recommend that. Third on the list is Vengeful by VE Schwab. This is the sequel to Villains, which is, I think it's kind of like The Boys, the TV show, where it's really playing on that superhero, hero nemesis, hero-villain structure, but they're all villains. They're all horrible. And I really like the first one. It's really fast-paced. It feels like watching, a Marvel or a DC movie. I didn't like the second one as much. And I think a lot of the reason I didn't like it is because the third book isn't out, so I'm just on a huge cliffhanger. There's so much left that needs to happen. So much left. I rated this 4 stars. This is probably my least favorite thing I've read by her, but it's still 4 stars. It's still relatively good. But yeah, I do think that Villains, the first book, could have just been left as a standalone. So the second book just kind of naturally, because of that, feels like fanfiction, but I'm not complaining about it. Alright, so number 2 on the list is the only one I actually have a physical copy of, Siege and Storm. I talked about Shadow and Bone last week. Short version, I love these books. I haven't read them since I was in high school. I'm really enjoying rereading them. I'm working on Ruin and Rising right now. It's great, 5 stars, but it's only second, even though it was probably the book I enjoyed reading the most this month, because I knew it was going to be good. That's all I have to say about it. I love, especially in the second book, how Bardugo isn't afraid to just have Alina be completely unhinged. Alina is just messed up, man. I love it. I'm into it. So, yeah, that's number 2. Enough said. My top book of this month was one that really surprised me. It was Apprentice to the Villain by Nicole Maehrer. I rated this 4 stars. That's the second book in the series. The series is basically the main character is an assistant to like a horrible fairy tale villain, and they fall in love. Like, it's literally like if you mixed Ella Enchanted with The Office. It's pure fun, and I love it, and it like knows its genre and it knows its audience and doesn't try to, make the fantasy too complicated, or it doesn't try and do too much, which I think some romanticies can kind of get a little carried away with, which is why I don't like romantasy just kind of in general. It's either the fantasy is not, like established enough, or it tries to do way too much for the story and it can't balance the fantasy with the romance. But this one does a great job. I had really a lot of fun reading this. I read it with one of my friends. Yeah, I can't really say a lot about it because if you haven't read the first one, I don't want to spoil it for you, but I'm gonna read the third one. I'm really excited for it. It really feels like reading Ella Enchanted or Gail Carson Levine in general, which was kind of my gateway to fantasy. That's what I was reading when I was, in maybe like 2nd and 3rd grade. It's a lot of fun, and I really recommend it if you like romance, if you like fantasy, especially if you like more chill fantasy, and especially if maybe you haven't read any fantasy before. This would be a really good gateway if you want to get into the genre. I would recommend this over like ACOTAR or Fourth Wing, honestly. I think it's a lot better, and I enjoyed this way more than I did the first one, so it is also kind of nice to see that, an author is improving with each book they write. That's just kind of fun, like, to like witness their journey. So that was my top book of the month. I really like that one. Shout out Nicole Maehrer. I'm probably pronouncing your last name wrong, and I'm really sorry. For my reading challenge that I'm doing for the rest of the year, based on what I've read, I kind of need to be reading about 4 or 5 books every month. Maybe some months I can go down to 3, but I genuinely try to aim for 4 or 5. For July, I'm going to read Let This Radicalize You by Kelly Hayes for my nonfiction. If I remember correctly, and I'm not confusing this with another one on my list, it's about activism. And I feel like that's a good book to read based on, the fact that today's actually July 3rd when I'm recording this. Tomorrow's Independence Day if you're American. I feel like a lot of people feel like there's not a lot to celebrate right now, myself included. I'm trying to, whenever I feel that, when I feel overwhelmed by just all the horrible things happening in the world, to just do something with that, even if it's a small thing. So reading something that helps grow my brain and be aware of what's going on in my country. My representatives don't pick up their phone, but I mailed them a letter. They gotta open it. It's just gonna sit, it has to sit in their office at some point. If I make their day a little bit more annoying, that's fine by me. Like, at this point, that's all I can ask for. So that's one of the ways I'm doing that, is reading Let This Radicalize You. I'm also reading Beauty is a Wound by, I should have looked up this name and I didn't, Akwaeke. That's probably not right. It kind of reminds me from the description of House of Spirits by Isabel Allende, which I really liked when I read it. So, currently working on Ruin and Rising. This is what I read when I'm sitting at the pool. Princess Bride. I didn't read it last month, but I'm gonna try and read it this month. So that's my goal. I have a list of a lot of poetry and essays I need to read, just kind of for my own personal research. So I may do some of that this month, but we'll see. I hate poetry. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't get it. I don't get it. If I'm listening to poetry, I'm fine. But I hate reading poetry. And I hate how much work you have to do to understand a single poem. It's just not for me, but I'll do it anyway. There are a few poets I like. It is worth knowing all of their work. Actually, this is the book. I don't know if you can see it. Actually, it might be too low, but that's everything I'm reading. Next month, I'll check in then. But thank you for watching. I would really appreciate if you like and subscribe. If you go check out some of my other videos, maybe even check out my shop. That would be great. Enjoy. Let me know what you guys are reading in the comments, and I'll see you guys next week.